Hey guys, because there's a big sale on right now, I thought it would be fun if we made a bit of a tier list of the Total War Warhammer DLCs. Give you a little bit of a guide and explain my reasoning because I'm not a Total War expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I do love the game. So, I'm going to start at D as well. A lot of people start at S and work their way down, but I feel like that ruins the video because this is the exciting thing, right? And it's like, let's build up to it. Okay, let's not waste any more time. Um, in D tier, first of all, it's not like everything in the same tier is equal, right? Is how we're doing it. The Grim and the Grave. This was the first Lord pack. I feel like in general, Creative Assembly is getting better at making the game. Like they're just design philosophies and skills are just better. And Grim and the Grave was the first Lord pack they ever made. It's for the Empire and the Vampire counts, which, if you don't know, the way they make Lord Pack DLCs is they're always, you get two legendary lords, and they're from two different races, usually want to fight in some way, and then you also get some extra goodies, usually some extra units that anyone in that race can recruit, and some regiments of renown, maybe a lord type, which means even if you think the legendary lords are boring, if you love the units, it might be worth buying it, which the problem is with the Grim and the Grave is that the units are boring. You get flagellants, which are like this infantry unit that never routes, which okay, fair enough. Free Company Militia, which are like short range guns, but I believe they don't even have great armor piercing. So it's like, are these guys even guns? You get Knights of the Blazing Sun, which are cool, but in campaign you can only get them from one settlement, so they're kind of hard to. It's you can just really see that this was the first DLC they ever made. And to be clear, I love Total War Warhammer. I have all the DLC. I love them all. Like this is comparing them to each other. So no DLC here is just a scam. Okay, you should. They're all great. If you had infinite money, you'd love them all. It's just it really shows its age. I'd say like the best part about it is probably the Mortis engine. Um, I don't know. The Vampire Counts units are a bit better though. Okay, next up is the. Hang on, can I like move my? Hang on, let me just sort out how I've. Okay. um, Next up is the Chaos Warriors. So this was the launch. This was like the day one DLC, right? It was a pre-order bonus. Um, and okay, how do I explain this? Hordes in general, which is a type of faction. Hordes don't occupy settlements. That's the difference. They build buildings in their armies. Hordes were better in Warhammer 1 because the map was a lot smaller and it was a lot easier to to meaningfully like destroy the world, right? And and also Warhammer 1, all of the races by today's standards aren't that good, right? Um that's why they've basically all needed updates, right? Like there was a huge rework for the Empire, Bretonia, Dwarves and Vampire Counts got minor ones, Greenskins got a major rework. So Chaos Warriors got none. So they're just really old at this point. They really show their age. The fact it's a race pack is awesome though, because that means you get a ton of new, exciting, awesome units to play with. Like if you love Chaos, well, sick. You get to play with a lot of new Chaos units, which is a great selling point. Um, the problem is, if you're a tabletop guy, this is not Demons of Chaos. There are not many exciting demons in their roster. They have yeah, they're just I don't recommend them. And basically the exact same story as with Beastmen. They're also a Horde faction, they're also Chaos, they're also from Warhammer 1. They're just really in need of an update. Horde factions are pretty awkward across the board right now. Except for when we'll get to it. Because I think these guys show a lot of promise for Warhammer 3 because Creative Assembly has shown how they've grown up a little bit. Next is Blood for the Blood God. This DLC is a scam. Okay, no, you should absolutely buy it. In that sense, it's S tier because it's a war game. Of course, there should be blood. What are you talking about? The problem is, it's a scam that it's not. I just have to put it in D tier because it's such a scam that it's not in the game for free, right? Also, it's not even done that well. Like, the blood is really exaggerated and over the top. One of the most popular mods on the Steam Workshop makes the blood even, like, reduced. So it's just stupid. I don't know how they get away with it. I know how they get away with it. Every game, everyone complains and bitches and moans, and then they reluctantly buy it because you have to buy it, and then CA makes money. Okay, C tier. The King and the Warlord. C tier Lord packs are good. Like, they're a lot of fun. The whole thing of the King and the Warlord is it's dwarves versus greenskins, and they both have a lord who's really focused on capturing this really powerful settlement in the Badlands called Carrick 8 Peaks. And that is a really fun mechanic. Having this civ with like a really cool objective, and it's like, do you rush over there as quickly as possible, but it'll be really difficult to capture, or do you bide your time a little bit? Yeah, the thing is, I don't think the units that this DLC brought were very cool, personally. This is like extremely subjective, but for dwarves, I don't think Belagar Ironhammer, the Legendary Lord, is very unique, frankly. Um, he's not boring, but again, this is a Warhammer 1 DLC, and it shows. Uh, Rangers, Bugman's Rangers, and Bolt Thrower. Okay, so Bolt Thrower is a type of artillery. What dwarves have plenty of artillery. Who cares about that? Rangers, Bugman's like. Personally, when I'm paying like extra money for a DLC, I want the units to not just be like strong and useful. I want them to be unique and to like bring a new dimension to the race. And I'm sure like Total War experts watching this video will be like, that's exactly what these units do, right? But for me, it's just that's not really manifested. Sometimes I like often don't even use them. Now with goblins, with the greenskin, Skarsnik is a very cool lord, in my opinion. He has lightning strike, like baseline, I think. He's like very ambushy and sneaky. He's focused on like squigs and goblins, which is cool. Squigs is the unique unit. It's like this cavalry type thing, but it has like poison and armor piercing, and squigs are cool, but I don't know if they're unique enough to consider this like a huge, great. Personally, like I got the DLC and I played like Belagar, and I was like, that was pretty good. And then I waited ages, and then I played Skarsnik, and I was like, that was fun. But yeah, I mean, it's C tier, it's good, but we can do better. All I'm trying to say. Okay. Next up, I think this is going to be super controversial, but the Hunter and the Beast. It's controversial because this gives amazing units for the Lizard Men. It's Lizard Men vs Empire, and the cool thing about that is if you don't own Warhammer 1, it lets you play the Empire on the Vortex map. Cool. Um, which is if you don't own Warhammer 1, this lets you play Empire. It lets everyone play Empire on the Vortex map. And the units for Lizardmen are awesome. Let me just pull up the list. Here we go. Dread Saurian, Razordon Hunting Pack, Sacred Kroxigor. So Sacred Kroxigor is this like cool melee monstrous infantry. Razordon Hunting Pack is like these dinosaurs that shoot fireballs. Dread Saurian is a big dino. So none of these are like I think that this is a better example of adding a new dimension to the Lizardmen roster. Like those are all units I will use in every Lizardmen campaign. Um, However, the Empire units are not very good, in my opinion. I don't use them ever. Archers, Huntsmen, War Wagon. So that's a bit disappointing. And the campaigns themselves, they're unique. They're both very unique. Nakai the Wanderer is the Lizardman. He's like a horde, but when he defeats settlements, it leaves behind this vassal faction, and there's problems with it because the vassal just sits there and does nothing. And I don't want this video to be 45 minutes long, but I would just say on Mortal Empires, Nakai is like really painful to play, and on Vortex, he's like fine, but he's not. I think he's worse. I'd much rather play regular Lizardmen, frankly. And same with Empire, same with Huntsman, uh, Hunt Marshal's Expedition or whatever. It's like you're just playing with this weird handicap, and it's a fun twist. It's a fun twist. I did enjoy my hunts, my Marcus Wolfhart campaign, but I'm not gonna do it again, frankly. And I know that a lot of people will disagree with that because a lot of people love them. And the last of Tier C is the Realm of the Wood Elves. Another Warhammer 1 race pack. They just didn't. The first time CA made every race for Warhammer 1, they didn't hit it out of the park. I think that's just like the simplest way of saying it. Um, because their campaign is very awkward. They have this unique resource called Amber, which encourages them to either be very expansionist, which is strange for the Wood Elves, or just sit around and do nothing and ally everyone, and it's a very awkward campaign. I think making a defensive civ is quite difficult in Total War, but it is a race pack. I would say the unit roster is really cool. Fighting with the Wood Elves is really fun. They have a unique campaign. This comes with 2 legendary lords. There's a lot to love about it, just because it's a race pack, and it's not a horde. So yeah. And another thing I will say about Chaos Warriors and Beastmen is they get a lot better in Wood Elves with mods. So if you're willing to mod the game, which you should be modding Warhammer, honestly, at least a little bit, that can fix a lot of the issues. But modding can create new issues as well. So, okay, B tier. We're getting into the really great DLCs in B tier. The Warden and the Paunch. The Paunch? The Poncho? The Warden and the whatever. Okay, so, Warden and the Paunch. It's got great units. I use all of the units for its High Elves versus Greenskins, which is a fun matchup. It adds basically a bunch of chariots and monsters to Greenskins, and a bunch of just everything to High Elves. The campaigns themselves are really fun. Altharion the Grim has this like warden mechanic where you can imprison legendary lords, and the Paunch, which is Grom, he has this mechanic where you do certain things all across the map, and that gives you ingredients, and you can brew foods which give you faction-wide buffs, and it's fun, frankly. Like this is a classic B tier because it's like both the legendary lords are good, all the units are good, the campaigns are fun. I would say the campaigns are probably less unique than the King and the Warlord, the Hunter and the Beast. So in a way, it took less risks, but I think it's exactly what you want out of a Lord pack, frankly. Okay. Next up is Norska. This is a Warhammer 1 race pack. I think this is by far the best one. So a lot of people would probably rank Norska lower because they are due for a rework. And a lot of people would say, I would way rather play Warden and the Paunch Greenskins than Norska. But the problem is, Greenskins are a free faction, right? So you could play... Like, we're talking about DLC, which costs additional money. And I think if you're spending a decent chunk of change, you want like a whole new, you want as much new stuff as possible, right? And Norsca, they have unique campaign mechanics. I think they have a fun campaign. I think it was better in Warhammer 1 because the smaller map suits them. These guys aren't a horde faction, but they have limits on where they can settle, which means they do a lot of sacking and raising, like hordes. Um, but they have a really cool unit roster, and they have a lot of. I don't know if it counts as a spoiler. I don't think it does. But spoiler warning for Norse campaign. Um, these guys are like Chaos Raiders, right? And when the Chaos Invasion arrives with Archaon, you can choose to either side with it and get a big bonus, fight alongside it, or you can turn on Chaos and try to become the Ever Chosen yourself, which is a really fun mechanic, I think. But yeah, Norsca, you get 2 Legendary Lords. I don't think either of them are like thrilling Legendary Lords, but they're for a whole new race. Like it's a whole. It's not just improving an existing race. It's a whole new one, which I think is just like a way bigger like margin, if that makes sense. And next is the crap. Oh no, it is here. I thought it wasn't there for a second. The Shadow and the Blade. This is great. I will say. So, how do I explain this? I think the Skaven half of it's Skaven versus Dark Elves. I think the Skaven half of this is way better than the Dark Elf half. I think the Dark Elves got done pretty dirty. It's Malice Darkblade. He has a pretty miserable campaign, honestly. He has this weird mechanic where you have to keep spending gold on him. And he has a fun starting position, which is something, but also I don't want to like overstate how good a new starting position is for a DLC because there are mods which let you start wherever you want. um, the Dark Elf units I don't really use, honestly. I just don't. I probably should, but you know, that's me. The Skaven, on the other hand, Clan Eshin, they're like sneaky stabby Skaven, and they have a whole new campaign mechanic, a pretty cool lord, and units that you will use in every campaign. Like 3 to 5 units. You might. I'm looking at them now. I think I literally use all of them always. So that's not true. But yeah, it's just like the Skaven is like you can tell I put a lot of love went into it. I think CA really likes Skaven because they always get treated well. uh, yeah. And now we're ready for the A tier. We're getting into the must buy territory, I think. And it is the Queen and the Crone. The Queen and the Crone. Okay, so actually, as I look at it, the Queen and the Crone is very similar. Oh goodness, my Discord is popping up. Oh god. Oh god. Okay, the Queen and the Crone. The cool thing about it is the units essentially. Okay, so it's High Elves versus Dark Elves. I think the Dark Elves got done. I don't think the Dark Elf campaign is super exciting, honestly. I think the High Elf one, I think both of the campaigns are just slightly better versions of Nagorond and Etain. Because the Queen she starts very close to Tyrion, and her unique mechanic isn't that interesting. And same with Dark Elves. The Dark Elf lady, the Crone, starts right next to Malekith. But these units are awesome. I think they're really fun. I think, like, I'm actually tempted to do this. No, no, I'm gonna stick to what I did. Because there's like this the Doomfire Warlocks for Dark Elves, which is cool. It's like this cavalry that can cast spells. Sisters of Avalon for High Elves. It's like these archers, but they shoot like these blue crystal bullets that pierce armor and but none of those change how you. I don't know. I think maybe this is like a low A. We'll call it. Okay. Prophet and the Warlock is the other A tier. Well, now you know what's in my S tier. Okay. Prophet and the Warlock is fantastic. Basically all around. So it's Skaven vs Lizardmen, classic matchup, and for the Warlock, Clan Scryer might just be the best faction they ever best half of a Lord pack ever. Um, it has this new mechanic. They have this unique mechanic where they have access to this workshop where they can improve all their weapons teams, and they can build nuclear weapons to use in a battle. And the units are amazing. They're really fun to use, and they change how you play the faction in a pretty big way. A lot of people say don't play Skaven without the Prophet and the Warlock, which is a bit melodramatic. Skaven have 1,000,001 features. You can't use them all anyway. Okay. And the Lizardman one is very good as well. The Lizardman campaign is the Prophet, I suppose, isn't as interesting as the Clan Skyer one. Their mechanic is kind of weird. Because it's similar to the workshop, except you get temporary buffs, and I wouldn't say the buffs are that cool either, but the Lizardmen units are great. You'll use them all. I think I just mixed up some of the Lizardmen units from the previous DLC. Never mind. Anyway, pointers. Definitely A tier. But okay, Prophet and the Warlock is basically the perfect Lord pack. You get 2 awesome legendary lords, you get all these awesome units, interesting faction mechanics, which actually makes me think we definitely should do this, because it is definitely a tier above Queen of the Crown. However, S tier is 2 perfect race packs. The Rise of the Tomb Kings and the Vampire Coast. Both of these races are incredibly unique. They have an incredibly unique and awesome faction. They have a whole new unit roster with really awesome units. They have Vampire Coast has a unique lore of magic, the lore of the deep. Tomb Kings, maybe they don't have a unique lore, but who gives a shit? I'm reviewing them together because you should just pick whichever flavorfully, thematically you enjoy more. But these are both fantastic, really good race packs.